this information and share the video. That's all I gotta say. Just share the video. So we're gonna jump right into it. So I'm going to tell you, this is an article that I was reading earlier today, as I alluded to, and it's written by Amy Morin. She's a licensed clinical social worker, and it's entitled 13 Things Mentally Strong Women Don't Do. Actually, according to a psychotherapist and best-selling author, is what it says. And she has 13 tips for women in particular to help them to figure out how to be mentally strong. Because, I don't know if you read the book Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg, and she talks about women and their experience in the workplace and how it's rooted in how we're reared as young women and as girls. Certain things are encouraged in boys, but in girls it's discouraged or it's looked at in a different way, and that same stereotypical kind of thinking follows us into the workplace. And so women tend to not speak up as much in meetings as men do. Women tend to we tend to serve in different types of capacities when it comes to volunteering. Men tend to be more assertive, I would say, in terms of volunteering for things, even if they know they're not quite qualified for it. Whereas a woman might feel like she needs to be 100% ready before she can take that next step. So it's just things like that are commonplace in the workplace, and it's part of our societal conditioning, really. So anyway, let's get into it. So these are the things. She's telling you the things to do. I'm just reversing it and telling you the things don't do. And the reason why this resonated with me, because some of these things that I've done, so I figured if I've done them, other people have done them too. And some people might be still doing some of them or all of them. And so we need to stop it if we want to develop mental grit. So let's get to it. And the first one is, you don't want to compare yourself to other people, so stop doing that. And that you can think of all kinds of stories to help you to really make that hone in. You're comparing your beginning to someone else's ending. You're wondering why somebody's career has taken off and you're still at what you perceive as stage one. And you don't know all the details and intricacies and everything that person has been to get to where they're supposed to be, or where they are right now. And all it really does, it helps to make you feel bad, create bad feelings and doubt and guilt and all of these non-productive feelings. So we don't want that. Another thing is that they don't persist on perfection. And this is one that I've been guilty of until I learned better, because I thought that, being a perfectionist was a good thing, because that meant, you try to do things right. You try to produce things that are of a high standard and that kind of, you get the picture of what I'm talking about. But what I have learned over the course of my years in the professional arena, and now as I'm, venturing into this business world, is that what perfectionism really does is slows you down and holds you back from ever having the ability to complete anything, because you're always so concerned about it having to be exactly perfect. It has to be, a certain way before you can let it go. And you never let it go because it never gets to the point where it's perfect. So stop with the perfectionism and just strive for working in excellence and have high standards, but don't get caught up in that whole perfectionism trap. The next thing you need to stop doing is thinking that you can't be vulnerable, you can't share your feelings. I know when I first started my career, you kind of think when you go into the office, work is work and home is home. Don't bring your personal things to work. What I've learned is that we're people. So as people, if there are things going on at home, your mom, your parent just died, your pet died or whatever, you're going to feel sad. And your sadness is not going to shut off just because you came to work. Now, they're expecting you to get your job done while you're at work, but we can't think that people are robots or machines and, don't have feelings and emotions and you just shut it off. So feel free to be vulnerable, to share things that, you might feel personal. I know if you grew up like I did, you just didn't tell your business to people and you kept things to yourself or in your family. And that's how we grew up and that's what we were taught. But, I think you have to use discretion about those kinds of things, but being able to open up and express feelings and emotions is a good thing. So stop hiding your true self, your authenticity, because that's what it really boils down to. That's what it is. The next thing you need to stop, according to our author, is that you need to stop letting your self-doubt keep you from reaching your goals. Now, I can relate to this one too. And I'm sure many of you can also. It doesn't matter how good you are. And when you get back to that whole comparing yourself to other people, I was listening to or reading something and the person was talking about how, they were creative. They were a creative type person. And so they admired the people who were left-brained. And so they ended up partnering up with a left-brained person and realized that the left-brained person, was feeling a certain way about, the way that they maneuvered and operated and was kind of envious of that. So it doesn't matter, where you stand. There's always opportunity to think that another person has something that you don't have or some special skill or talent or gift or does something exceptionally better than you. And maybe that's true, but that's not true in every category. So you have to, recognize what your value is, what your worth is, and stand in that and stop allowing all those crazy little thoughts to come into your head and tell you things that are just not true. The next thing is to don't overthink everything. Have you been guilty of that? Because I sure have. And especially if you're one of those people who have that gift of, or those strengths of thinking and processing is something that you do all the time. And I'm one of those people. So it can be really easy to go down the rabbit hole of, thinking about this and what about this and what about that and get yourself all caught up in a tizzy over something that really didn't require that much attention in the first place. So if you want to have mental grit and mental strength, then stop doing that. Okay? Tip number 6. They don't avoid tough challenges. And this is something that I've been thinking about and was thinking about doing a live about actually. It's this one of the points that made me want to talk about this particular article. And it's about, when you get into situations that are new to you, that are uncomfortable to you, sometimes your tendency might be to want to shy away from them. Or if it's a challenge, you might just want to avoid it altogether and just wish it would go away. But if it's, say at work, and it's something that you can't avoid, it's a person you can't avoid, it's a project that you have to work on, even though you really, really, really don't feel like it and you don't want to work on it, but you have to because it's your job, it's your responsibility, then, my best advice for that and my best solution that I've come up with for that is just to stand in it. Just recognize that it's your responsibility. It's something you have to do. Throw all that dread and regret and all of that stuff to the side and just stand firmly in it. And do the doggone thing, okay? Then stop avoiding challenges. Face them head on. The next thing is you need to stop being afraid of breaking the rules. And this is and I've talked about this before when it comes to jobs, and like if the job says, the announcement says you have to have all these 25 different things and you have 20, don't be afraid to just apply anyway. Break the rules. If they can decide if you have what they want. Now, if you're missing 20 of them, then you probably wouldn't apply. But if you're just missing 5, why not? You got a good chance. You got a good shot, because maybe some of those other things they have on there are just nice to have things. So don't be afraid to go against the grain, to test the limits a little bit, because sometimes it comes out in your favor. Probably more times than not. The next thing that you need to stop doing to develop your mental strength, your mental dexterity, is to don't put others down. So, and especially when you're doing it because you're trying to make yourself look better. You're trying to put yourself in a different light or a more favorable light. So the way that you choose to do that is by trying to downplay another person or to rip them apart or whatever, that looks like for you, if that's something that you do. But that's never a good thing. There's space and room enough for all of us, and there's no reason to try to, just destroy one person to try to make yourself look better. Just working your excellence that we talked about earlier, and that's all you really need to do. And the light that's supposed to shine on you is going to shine on you. Okay? The next thing is, don't let others limit your potential. So I like to talk about the negative Nancy's in the world, who never have anything positive to say. I don't care how good something is, there's something wrong with it. You have to be able to block all of that out and be focused on what it is that you set as your goal, that's your end product, and don't let anything penetrate that shield. Keep all the negativity, at arm's length, because it can really stifle your progress, limit your potential, and keep you right where that negative person is, if you allow it to. Now, that's just real talk. It'll keep you right where they are. The next thing is, if you want to have mental grit, mental strength, then stop blaming yourself for something when it goes wrong. Because every time something goes wrong, it's not your fault. Now, if it is your fault, or there's some action that you took that led to something that wasn't favorable, own it. But it's not something where you're going to personalize it and make it about you, and that you are a bad person or you are a failure. It's personalized. It's one thing to identify, what the action was, what the thought was, what the behavior was that caused the thing, because that's the real issue. It's another thing when you're internalizing these things and making them about you. So stop that. The next thing is, stop staying silent. And I talked about at the beginning of this video how women tend to do that. But, stand up for yourself when it's an appropriate time to do that. Some things, you let go because you really don't care. But if it's really something that you are passionate about, that you have an opinion about, share it. And that, for women, is one of the key things for us to be able to help us to level up our careers and to have some of that career success that we keep talking about on these lives every night and that we desire. The 12th thing that you should stop doing is, don't feel bad about reinventing yourself. I know when we get to a certain age, us women, we kind of start thinking about, we should have done this 20 years ago, or if we had done this then, or all this reminiscing, and it's really excuse making. You have the choice. You have the ability to reinvent yourself, to change up. We women like changing up things, right? We can change when we want to. We can change our minds. We can change our clothes. We can change our appearance. We can change our whatever we want to change. And that's perfectly okay. And you can do it at any age. You can decide that you want to, make some drastic career. Maybe you want to, if you're married and you decide you don't want to be married anymore after 20 years, it's okay to do that. If that's the best thing for you and your happiness and your growth and your progression. If you decide that you've been on the job for 20 years and you can't take it 10 more years to get to retirement, then, you have the right to make that choice to make a different decision. So you always have that option, and just remember that. So stop being afraid to do something new just because you reached a certain milestone or you reached a certain age or whatever. And the last and final thing that the author shares is that you should stop downplaying your success. Now, I have been guilty of this, thinking that it was being humble, whichever word you want to use. And, so I would, try to downplay my successes and things that I achieved and, try not to create any kind of appearance of a difference between me and other people. And I just learned that we're all different. We all have different strengths. We all have different talents. We all have different, views and the way we view things in life. And it's okay for us to be different. And it's okay for you to achieve things. It's okay for you to decide that's not the thing you want to even strive for, whatever it is. It's okay. And you don't have to downplay anything. You really don't. You really don't have to downplay anything, because if you put in your dedication, your hard work, your commitment to be able to reach a goal that you set for yourself, you need to celebrate that. Celebrate it, not hide it. Vashana, celebrate it, don't hide it. I'm talking to me. So anyway, that's all I wanted to share with you guys tonight. Like I said, wanted to take a different approach and share with you something that I thought was lighthearted and interesting and that you can actually benefit from. You can take these things and review them and see which ones of them you are guilty of and which ones you want to start making plans to change. It's 2019. It's still January. I know a lot of people have lost their momentum with their resolutions, but, it's still time. We have 11 more months left to be able to make some significant changes in our lives and in our careers. So that's all I have for you tonight on that. And I want to, as always, offer you the opportunity to get a copy of my free 3-part e-course entitled Career on Fire, 3 Steps to Your Next Level. It's available on my website at www.vashanaweatherspoon.com. It's especially recommended for women who are looking to make a career change this year. They're not quite sure what that career change needs to look like. They just know that I need to go. I need to be doing something else. There's something bigger. There's something better out there for me that's going to help me to have the career satisfaction, the happiness, the fulfillment, the enjoyment in my work, because I have to get up and go and do this thing every day. So I want to be able to enjoy it. It's designed for that woman. So pop on over, get your absolutely free copy at www.vashanaweatherspoon.com. So before I let you go, I just want to invite you one last time to like and share this video. If you're catching this on the replay, type replay in the comments. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I hope the weather is nice, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.